Hello class, I'm Troy Joseph. Allow me to share some details about our upcoming final exam. Let's get started. The original plan was for us to meet in person in an exam hall. What's changed is that now it's going to be a fully online exam. What hasn't changed is what's going to be covered, chapters 5 to 17, the format of the exam, multiple choice and written answer questions, and it's going to last 2.5 hours as originally planned. If you're writing through the Paul Menton Center, be sure to check your start time, which might be a little earlier or later than the start time for the rest of the class. Length and format are exactly the same as initially intended, and if compared to previous years. Where do you find the online exam? Well, since it's not in person, we'll find it online through CU Learn. So once you get into your CU Learn accounts, look for our course code and then click on the final exam section, which will be prominently displayed close to the top. Let's do it together. So I'm going to go to CU Learn, log into my account, have your accounts active and know your passwords, clicking on our course code, and then there it is, right near the top, final exam. Now, the final exam isn't there yet, but what is there is an example of what you need to do once it is posted. So I'm going to show you this example file by clicking on it, and you will see, well, this is a preview for me as a designer, but you'll have something similar. Are you ready to start this exam? It's going to be timed once you do. Start the attempt, and notice you have 2.5 hours. The attempt is now started. Okay, so here appear the questions. And once you read through the questions, choose, okay, which among these is the right answer. Click the one that you think is right, move on to the next. You can do the questions in any order. They will all appear together so you can move around. If you want to come back to a question later, you can flag it so that if you have time, you can go back and review it later. Some of the questions will include diagrams. Indeed, quite a few of them will include diagrams, particularly since I can't ask you to draw them yourself in the online format. But down at the bottom will be the written answer questions. So you can see here is a question that is a numerical exercise. You're asked to compute for a two-good economy the value of the consumer price index. So you type in some numbers here, come up with your answer, type it as best you can. Don't be deceived into thinking that you can somehow write this on paper and submit it. It has to be typed in this box here. It's deceptive. There's an image file here. You can't include any images. You're going to type everything as you have in front of you. And once you get to the end and finish your final question, it will be time to finish your attempt by clicking this button here. Now, it's going to doubly confirm that, okay, are you sure that you're ready to submit all and finish the exam? It's important that you do. If you happen to not click this submit and finish button, it's not the end of the world, but you're not going to get your grade right away. If you do click submit and finish, your multiple choice question will be ready for you within a day after the test. I didn't do so well in terms of, okay, answered the first question and left a lot of blanks, so you can see only one correct. Okay, so now that we know how to find the exam, is the exam open booked? Well, notice that when we were writing in the exam hall, there wasn't a lot of time to go grab your textbook and flip through and find material before answering questions. The same is going to be exactly true in the online format. So you'll have no time to locate material, whether through notes, your textbook, or otherwise. You're going to have to come right out with the answer. And notice that there'll be a clock ticking. 2.5 hours starts. There'll be a clock on the top right corner letting you know the countdown. So the questions compared to the past, there'll be less in terms of definitions, more on actually doing something like computing the value of a CPI and inflation rates and things of that sort. No copying is permitted in terms of, okay, you can't directly copy something. What I really want to guard against is cutting and pasting from some passage that you find on the internet once you read a question. can you ask a question during the test? Yes, you can. So go to the bottom of your test page and there will be a spot where you can click. Let's go to that together here. At the very bottom of the test, here we have questions for instructor or TA. Click that and it will lead you to a big blue button room where you can, the easiest thing would be to type up your question. You could also use audio if you like, video if it would help. Calculators allowed. Not only are they allowed, they're strongly recommended. Recommend that don't rely on your computer. You'll have other things going on your computer. Have a calculator somewhere at your side to speed things up. What if the system fails during the test? Well, many precautions to ensure that they don't. So the exam loads are managed among all the different courses. There is a separate secure server designed to be away from the rest of CU Learn traffic, and tech teams are on by. At the very worst, the system would have to be rebooted, so you could expect in a disaster scenario you'd be up and running 15 minutes later. If everything fails, get in contact with emergency services, exam emergency services, and me. What if the problem's on your end, your power goes out or your internet fails? So get in touch with the exam emergency team. You can do that by telephone or use your cell phone, perhaps your computer system's down. Email me and copy the exam services and we'll try to do what we can. There is a B plan in effect. Won't give you the details now, hoping that they're not necessary, but if you email me, I'll send you instructions right away. When will you get your results from this test? If you have remembered to submit all questions at the end, get you your multiple choice answers within a day. After that, the next grade that you'll see will be your final grade on Carleton Central. It should take about 10 days, so expect your results to be released around May 6th. So just some concluding thoughts. So this year's exam, I feel, is much like previous years in terms of you'd study using a very similar approach, and I feel your grades will be the same in this format as they would have been in any other format. If things happen to go badly, first of all, I think I'd pick it up that, okay, the class performance is well below the norm. If I missed it, the chair would pick up on that. We both missed it. The dean of the faculty would pick up on that. One thing you have to consider that's unique about this year is if your grade happens to be in the C or D range, do you want to trade that in for a satisfactory, which won't count on your GPA? If you'd like to discuss that further, an academic counselor would be willing to help, or I can try to assist. Be aware that 2.5 hours and more so than usual time management will play a factor. One, there's the system cuts off right at the 2.5 hour mark, but secondly, designed it in a way that it's going to use your time. So do be mindful of the clock. With that, if you have any further questions, feel free to email me. Good luck with your end of term study preparations.